Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a trainer who climbed over 600 ELO to hit Legend in the Ultra League with, of all things, a triple Tentacles theme team. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Freezy, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now what started out as a theme team ended up with massive ELO gains, as this team with Tentacruel, Shadow Malamar with Hyper Beam, and Toadscruel as the closer honestly put the Ultra League on notice with the amount of wins that it was getting. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at this team in action. Picking up a negative lead in game number 1, Tentacruel into Lapras. Safe switch into the Shadow Malamar is now going to be met with the Shadow Drapion. Drapion overfiring massively, waiting for this Malamar to go for a superpower, but bad news, trainer, that's not a superpower. Hyper Beam connects, and down goes Drapion with so much loaded energy. Now, back in comes the Lapras. Lapras going to be no shield in the foul play, but the damage has already been done. They can't really ever recover from that much lost energy on that Drapion. Shadow Malamar putting in so much work in game number 1, as it's already almost KO'd 2 full Pokemon by itself. Lapras will finally get to pick up the KO. In comes Toadscruel in the back. The opponent has Skeleturge, and they top lefted so quickly that Incinerate did not even land. We move to game number 2, picking up a bad lead, leading Tentacruel into the Shadow Steelix. Save switch Malamar unanswered by the opponent. Malamar has farmed up a ton of energy, bluffing a superpower, but the opponent will not fall for it. This is enough for an Earthquake easily, so Malamar will put up a shield just to get Breaking Swipe baited and debuffed. In comes Virizion. Unfortunately, this is now a debuffed Hyper Beam, which means it will not knock out, but it still leaves a mark. Virizion barely hangs on, as it should pick up the knockout here with the Leaf Blade. So Malamar has been KO'd, but now it's time for a reverse farm from the Tentacruel. Tentacruel can honestly threaten the Steelix now that the Steelix is in range of a Scald knocking out. And Tentacruel should be only 1 off of the Scald here. I believe the Steelix is 1 off of a Psychic Fangs as well, and that will result in charge attack priority. So Tentacruel will get to fire off the Scald first, burning the shield, attempting to switch out, but unsuccessful, and it's going to be up to the Toadscruel in the back. In comes Toadscruel. Opponent is going to switch into Shadow Dusknoir, and I just realized that this is a non-Wrap Toadscruel. Usually in the Ultra League, Toadscruel will opt for Wrap plus Earth Power. This trainer looks like they want a little bit of extra coverage into the waters, but sacrificing potential debuffs to make Mudslaps do extra damage. We'll have to see if that ends up being a successful strategy. Opponent is able to survive the Earth Power and make the Dynamic Punch, and that is going to leave this Toadscruel very low. But the good news is the opponent can never farm down here. Seed Bomb is going to force the final shield. Toadscruel will make another move, so the opponent is forced to fire off energy. This will knock out the Toadscruel. Now it's going to be a race to the charge move here. Is the opponent fully dry, or will they get to the move? They get to the Psychic Fangs. Fangs does about 20%. This will be close. Opponent went for a Breaking Swipe. That does less damage than a Psychic Fangs, so the game will be a win. Even if they went for the Psychic Fangs, I think Tentacruel hangs on there on 1 HP, but it would have been a little bit closer. We move to the next match. I believe these matches are from a bit earlier while the Worlds event was going on, so we do have the cool stadium in the background, but it's a very nice lead for Tentacruel leading into Virizion. The Virizion not switching out as well means something is pretty seriously wrong for the opponents. They are core broken in some way. They save switch into a Swampert, and Swampert is going to have an absolute nightmare of a time getting through Toadscruel. Toadscruel more than happy to absorb Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon. They just can't ever really do any meaningful damage here. They need 3 Hydro Cannons if they want to pick up the knockout, and Toadscruel can always threaten shields with Seed Bomb. Swampert will burn energy on a Hydro Cannon, but they're going to need to throw another Hydro if they want to get that shield back, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. So now Toadscruel will put up the shield. Toadscruel undertaps the Seed Bomb just for it to be caught onto Virizion. That is a very unfortunate catch. In comes Tentacruel, but Tentacruel can absolutely vanquish this Virizion with a Blizzard. Blizzard is going to connect opponent, not protecting Virizion whatsoever, and back in comes Swampert. But if Swampert's running the standard moveset, which is Hydro Cannon and Sludge, even though Mudshot is super effective, their charge moves are actually walled here. So now they're going to continue to farm up more and more and more. Hydro Cannon should come close to knocking out here. They go for the Hydro. It does not KO. In comes Feraligatr, and Feraligatr will immediately be hit with a Scald. Does Scald get the debuff? No, it does not, but even that little bit of chip damage is very helpful for the Shadow Malamar, because now Shadow Malamar should be able to knock out with the foul play. Shadow Malamar farming up, going for the foul play as soon as it gets it, just wanting Feraligatr off the field as soon as possible. Foul play will land, picking up the KO. Back in comes the Swampert. Swampert's going to need to throw multiple Hydro Cannons here, and then they just don't have enough energy to take the win. They actually are on Earthquake, believe it or not, but that still is not enough to KO Shadow Malamar. Picking up a Nightmare lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Bellybolt. It's Thundershock Bellybolt at that, so this is probably just game over, as Thundershock Bellybolt completely obliterates Shadow Malamar, and it obliterates the Tentacruel as well. Malamar gets to the Hyper Beam. Opponent, oh my goodness, they just threw this game. They catch a Hyper Beam onto Virizion, but now Malamar can play for Switch. This is the only chance in this game, was to win Switch and then have that Bellybolt be completely useless as it's stuck into the Toedscruel. Back in comes the Bellybolt. It's gonna knock out the Malamar, ramp up its defense, just to have every move it learns triple resisted by the Toedscruel. They're staying in, which makes absolutely no sense. There's no move they can throw that's ever gonna do any damage. The Zap Cannon, that is embarrassing damage. In the back is Regidrago. I mean, they shouldn't have even thrown a single move there, but I guess they just realized how completely futile this situation was. There's nothing you can do as a Bellybolt into a Toedscruel. It is a triple resistance. In comes the Tentacruel, and Tentacruel will never be shielding anything here, understanding that Tentacruel is completely useless when the opponent has a Bellybolt. Opponent fires off the Breaking Swipe, gets the debuff. They're firing off another charge attack. It's going to be another Breaking Swipe, and there's the switch back into the Bellybolt. The switch timers were heavily misaligned here, but the Bellybolt will just simply get KO'd. Back in comes the Regidrago, and the Regidrago is much too low. Regidrago now forced to shield a debuff Scald, which feels absolutely terrible. There's the switch into Toedscruel. Mudslap goes through, and the opponent will resign the match. Once I saw that Thundershock Bellybolt lead, that game looked completely over, but their decision to try and get fancy and catch onto Virizion opened the door to a LooseCon. Tricky lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Scizor. Scizor banks energy, save switches into Zygarde. Zygarde gonna be met with a Blizzard, but no, it's actually a Scald bait, and the bait is successful, grabbing a shield from the opponent. Zygarde will return fire here with a Bulldoze, and we will see the no shield from the Tentacruel, and thankfully no debuff comes through. This time it is going to be the Blizzard. Will the opponent opt for a double shield here? Yes, they will. They're full committing to the Zygarde, and in comes Shadow Malamar. Shadow Malamar would love nothing more than to make it to the Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam will inflict some serious damage onto one of the Ultra League's most toxic Pokemon. Bulldoze does get the debuff. Malamar going for the Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam is going to land. Big damage, but back in comes Shadow Scizor. Scizor fires off its energy, going for the Night Slash. Night Slash lands. Unfortunately, that will set up a Bullet Punch farm down. In comes Toedscruel. Toedscruel looking for a Mudslap down, but the Mudslap down not as easy in the Ultra League as it is in the Great League, because there is actually some bulk on Scizor in the Ultra League. Scizor will get knocked out by the Earth Power, but this does use all of Toedscruel's energy, and unfortunately, both the Toedscruel and the Tentacruel are quite low. This is going to make it difficult to beat whatever's in the back. Opponent not yet revealing the third. They're going to fire off energy with the Zygarde. Just going to be the Bulldoze. No debuff comes through. We see the full farm down. What is in the back? It's Bellybolt in the back. The perfect Pokemon. And now Toedscruel will connect with the Earth Power. It's Thundershock Bellybolt as well. These Thundershocks, oh my goodness, they're not doing much. Opponent very close to the back-to-back Parabolics. We will see the shield. They are getting there. There is the Parabolic, and now it's all up to the Toedscruel. Toedscruel gonna have to farm down or make it to the Seed Bomb. Toedscruel gets to the Seed Bomb. You just can never Thundershock down a Toedscruel. Seed Bomb reached. Bellybolt defeated. Screenshot collected, and that's a good game. We move to the next match, and it's going to be a familiar lead and a welcome lead. Tentacruel into Virizion. Bellybolt as the save switch. It's on Sucker Punch, but that's still never going to let Bellybolt flip this matchup. Bellybolt, it doesn't matter how much they farm up to. There's no ability for them to do any damage. They do Zap Cannon, and honestly, the Zap Cannon is so much funnier because they throw an extremely expensive, very powerful move, and it still just does no damage to the Toedscruel. So Toedscruel gets the farm down, leave with 100 energy, firing firing off a Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb is not the correct move to go for in this matchup. Typically, you will want to go for the Earth Power as it does get same type attack bonus, but either way, it looks like the battler was just looking to pivot out into the Malamar. Malamar does take quite a lot of damage there, bluffing the superpower that it does not have. Will the opponent fall for it and put up a shield? No, they will not. They do not end up shielding, and that is tough for the Shadow Malamar. Shadow Malamar get a shield, look for a farm down. Opponent gonna pivot out in the back. They have a Heliolisk. Now, that is not what I was expecting to see. A Mud Slap Heliolisk. Heliolisk puts up the shield. There's the switch into the Toedscruel. Toedscruel just looking to guarantee the final shield with an Earth Power. Earth Power does get the shield and a debuff. The Mud Slap's going through, and Heliolisk is forced to fire off the Breaking Swipe. In comes Tentacruel. It's going to be a race to the charge attack, but Heliolisk will get there first. Parabolic Charge won't KO, but it will do a lot of damage. Tentacruel is going to no shield, making it to the Scald. Even with the defense boost, Heliolisk is just too glassy. It's not surviving the Scald. It will get KO'd. Back in comes the Virizion. Virizion has no ability to farm down, so the opponent is going to resign the match. We move to the next game. Tentacruel into Gastrodon, a terrible lead. Oh man, I would absolutely love to see a Gastrodon get hyper beamed. Shadow Malamar gonna be hit with a body slam. The opponent opting to throw a pretty weak move here, not even building up, and now they're gonna pivot out into Bellybolt. It's Thundershock Bellybolt. That's not what you're hoping to see, but Malamar going for the hyper beam. Do they respect it? They do respect it, and that is tragic. They will get to boost up their defense with the Parabolic Charge, just for their Bellybolt to do absolutely nothing into the Toedscruel. Toedscruel now has an opportunity to get a free 100 energy. The opponent can honestly make life uncomfortable here by buffing up their defense, but instead they're going to opt for a Zap Cannon, fishing for the debuff. But it looks like Toedscruel is not messing around, just firing off the Earth Power right away to pick up the knockout. In the back, opponent has a Sand Slash, and they are just so weak to Bellybolt, completely disrespecting the Pokemon with this team build, and that's going to cost them this game. Sand Slash obviously can hit for double super effective with Ice Punch, but since they're Shadow Claw, they don't really have any fast move pressure. There is the Earth Power landing, and they just got fully 1v3 swept by a Toedscruel. Hopping into the next match, we have Tentacruel into Zygarde. Zygarde gonna stay in this matchup. Tentacruel farm it up. Opponent not even building up to try and bluff an Outrage or an Earthquake. They're just going straight for the Bulldoze. Bulldoze, not a move that threatens Tentacruel whatsoever. Tentacruel farms up just shy of 100 energy, bluffing the Blizzard, hoping to grab a shield. The bluff is successful, getting a shield from the opponent and the attack drop to boot, and that means that now Tentacruel will force the Zygarde to go down both shields, or it will force the Zygarde to just get knocked out here. We'll fire off the Blizzard. After this, we should see a pivot out into the Malamar. There's the switch into the Malamar, answered with no Fortress, but for some reason it's a Volt Switch Fortress, so it's actually okay. If it was a Bug Bite Fortress, that would have been absolutely catastrophic, but the opponent is on Volt Switch. Now, Volt Switch Fortress, I guess it does have certain matchups that it can do better in, like against the Flyers, but overall, Bug Bite is just an incredibly cracked move. Foul Play will not be enough to knock out. Opponent will get to go for yet another Rock Tomb, and it's all being left up to the Toedscruel. In comes the Toedscruel looking for a big farm down, and basically took no damage from that, and back in comes the Zygarde. Zygarde, unfortunately, is going to be a nuisance to remove from the field because Zygarde is just so bulky. Even a same type attack bonus Earth Power just does not do much to that Zygarde. Zygarde does have quite a bit of energy. We do see the shield. There's the Bulldoze. It's all Zygarde players know how to throw. They only know how to throw Bulldozes. There's another Bulldoze. What are they doing? They're just trying to apply debuffs, and we're going to see a full farm down from the Toedscruel. Please be Bellybolt. That's not a Bellybolt, but it is a win. Gastrodon in the back. Seed Bomb about to absolutely destroy this Gastrodon. The opponent will resign the match before the Seed Bomb can even land. Hopping to the final match, Tentacruel into Stunfisk, a very bad lead. The safe switch to Shadow Malamar answered with Zygarde once again. My goodness, I cannot wait till Zygarde eventually gets nerfed. It's only a matter of time before this Pokemon finally exits the meta. Hyper Beam is gonna land massive damage onto the Zygarde. Zygarde will throw a Bulldoze because it's the only move they know how to throw. And now Malamar will go for the foul play to guarantee the knockout. Switch advantage will be everything in this game. Opponent puts up the shield, but Shadow Malamar is in a position to no-shield the Bulldoze, farm down, and win switch. Bulldoze does not get the debuff. Malamar farms down, and with switch advantage lost, the game should be lost for the opponent here as well. Foul play, never going to do much into the Stunfisk. Stunfisk will farm down, exiting with energy it can never use into the Tentacruel. In the back is Shadow Lapras. Shadow Lapras, a bit of a scary Pokemon to see here. Tentacruel will fire off the Seed Bomb. That's going to be shielded up. And this could get a little bit uncomfortable. That's basically the perfect Pokemon that the opponent had to have in the bag to have a chance in this game. They end up going for a Skull Bash, so they are not on Ice Beam. To me, in Ultra League, I think Lapras always has to have Ice Beam, because if you have Skull Bash, then you actually lose to Zygarde. And you really don't want to be an Ice type that loses to Zygarde. But this Scald will be game over for the opponent, as it should be knocking out the Lapras. All that's left in the back is the Stunfisk that cannot get through the Tentacruel. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, these are some extremely entertaining games, so many thanks to this trainer for submitting this footage. I really like seeing when a trainer decides to run a team for fun, saying, you know what, if I win or lose, I don't really mind, and the team ends up working, and they end up climbing as much as this trainer did. They mentioned in the notes they started just below 2500s and got all the way up to 3100. So it's very cool to see that even in a bug-infested meta, Shadow Malamar still put in work, but the star of the show was absolutely the Hyper Beam on the Shadow Malamar. People in the Ultra League are used to everything being so bulky, so they're pretty comfortable in the fact that they never really have to shield the first move because they're an Ultra League Pokemon. They can tank whatever gets thrown, except for maybe a Shadow Hyper Beam. On top of that, I do think that the Tentacruel proved its worth in gold, because Tentacruel just did such a great job at shutting down all those Bellybolts, all the grounds like the Gastrodons and the Stunfisk as well. It's part of why I really liked getting to use Tentacruel on my rank 1 push, because Tentacruel does such a great job at handling Pokemon that are honestly pretty annoying otherwise if you do not have a resistance to either their Parabolic Charge or their Mud Slap. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely, sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.